Before we get very far into our next story, we do have a warning for you tonight. What you're about to see and hear may not be suitable for children. Tonight, take a walk in their world.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Transpicuous News. Another geomagnetic update, because the insanity continues. So do the mosquitoes, apparently. It's July 1st. We're officially in the second half of 2019, and things are definitely not getting any calmer. Yeah, it's a little crazy. We're going to go take a look at the geomagnetics again. Yet again, second day in a row, seeing something that on the magnetopause that I've never seen before, at least not to this extent. So without further ado, let's go take a look at the screens. So I'm going to show you the one that we always look at first, which is okay. This is our magnetosphere. It gives us an idea of the magnetic field lines, etc. We're going to go through this. I'm going to go through this really quickly because the visual stuff that I want you to see is actually in the magnetopause, not so much in the magnetosphere. Yesterday, I put out the report yesterday morning. At that point, we could only get the feed up to 12 noon. And then it cut out. And then it came back. And over the course, after what I finished showing you yesterday, it did slowly seem to calm down a little bit, till about midnight last night. Things started kind of amping back up again, and by first thing this morning, around 8 a.m. to be precise, things really got crazy. So I'm going to show you this. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole feed. I'm just going to kind of slide you through it. You can see we are at July 1st, 2019. We're at 3:50 in the morning. You can see we've got a lot of density here. It's a very, very hot density going on. But it's relatively, the closed magnetic lines are relatively stable. All things told, everything looks relatively stable. Nothing that we haven't seen before. Till we get to about, sorry about that, guys. Till we get to, here's the first section of waves coming at 6 and 7. You can see it really comes in and it pushes everything back. I'm going to just hit play so you can see this. As we get going forward, coming to 8 and 9, we see these blasts coming in. But overall, the closed cap lines are staying pretty tight. You know, the polar cap lines, the black lines, again, they're not in too bad a shape. The IMF are kind of waving around like we expect them to. Nothing too hairy canary. Now, today, when I went to go look at it, we could only get the feed up until 2 o'clock this afternoon. The rest of the feed only came, what we're going to see, only reappeared after 8 o'clock tonight. Now, this is where it starts. We're at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see. Now we're starting to get some really big, intense stuff. And I want you to watch. This is where it gets wild. The closed cap lines. The closed lines, so these are the red lines. Now we're used to seeing, I'm going to back this up a little bit. We see this kind of, we talk about the compression. So you can see how they're obviously being forced slightly downwards down here. And yet on this side here, you can see it's kind of being pushed upwards. We're used to that. What we're not used to seeing is when it begins to look like a kindergarten child drawing. You can see here, literally, the lines are twisting in on themselves all over the place. I'm going to take you through this almost screen by screen because this is crazy stuff. Now we're at 1600 today. Again, look at the lines. They're being pushed all the way out and around. And it continues all the way straight through. This is unusual. Now you can see The IMF lines are completely snapped again. We've got a really dense front line here, and we'll get into that in a second. But look at the red closed cap lines. It is just crazy. They're twisting all over the place. Like I said, as if it was a little bow tie drawn by a 5-year-old. Now, we can only get up to 1842. It was the last I've been able to load. So it stopped at 1400. I couldn't get anything else past 1400 until about 8 o'clock tonight. 8 o'clock tonight, we got like that next 4 hours bit of feed coming in. But now I can't get past that. So we're at 8:45. Now, this is where it's really incredibly insane. I'm going to show you the magnetopause. Now make this big so you guys can really see it. Okay, I'm also going to make it a little more square. Haha. So it's not quite so oval shaped. We're going to start off. I'm going to take you right back to last night. And we're going to go through the first little bit. It doesn't really, we see it, it's kind of back and forth, a little bit of wobbles here and there, a little bit of density, not too much, until we get to about, here we go, around 6 o'clock in the morning. Now you're going to watch, this is our magnetopause line. Now seeing it crunch in like this, not completely unusual, definitely not the norm, but it is not unusual. Sometimes we'll see both ends get crunched in at points. Watch this. You see this come in, and as we go into towards 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to see it start, it's being pushed. You can see it being pushed in towards that satellite line here, which is the dotted white line. It's being compressed inwards towards Earth. Boom. Here we go. There's the 9 o'clock in the morning, and we can see these hit starts coming in. Now, look at the deformation that's going to happen here. Now, I've paused it because I want you to see some of this. Taking it back a couple of frames. Here we still have, at 9:50 this morning, it's still relatively arced. It's compressed, but it's relatively normal. Then we have this, and you start to see the kinks. You start to see this coming through. And this is going to get epic. Hold on, guys. Apparently I can't get... Come on. There we go. Now watch. We get to 10. We're at 11. Look at this. Look at the compression. And then it's completely off the charts down here at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to hit play again. Are you watching this? It's as if someone's making silly string with our magnetopause. I have never seen a dance like this. Now, occasional, you get ones, the occasional you'll see a compression where the ends get bent in. Sometimes we get side compression. It does happen. But this goes on for hours. Literally hours. And you're going to watch it as we're going. Now we're coming up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon today. Look at these shapes. This is unusual. This is what I want to show you. When we talk about compression and the kind of bends and things that we see, we usually see them at the tail ends, not here, not in the leading edge of the magnetopause. Going again, okay, we're coming up on 1500, 3 o'clock. You can see it just keeps going. Now look at this. This is the other piece that we get. You can see the inner compression starting to form here in the inner rings. We see the dense hot spots on the top and the bottom, but look at this. It's like a big swirl that is forming, as if it's just being pushed all the way around. Now I want you to watch how this develops. Okay, and as we're seeing the blast come in, we're still getting major compression in the whole lines. You can see the top lines being bent all the way in from the side here. And this secondary ring effect, right like this. Crazy stuff. So this basically, this magnetopause distortion, because there's no other word for it, that's as far as we can get. 1814. That's as far ahead as the feeds we can get. That's hours upon hours, continuous distortion. Now, what I want to show you over here is we're going to look at the solar wind velocity, because this is where we see kind of strange anomalies in the readings. Okay? As I said yesterday, there's no extra solar wind right now. NASA nor themselves admit there is no. It's kind of like an avoided area right now until around the 4th. When we watch these blasts come in, we do see some small upticks. I'm going to show you. This, of course, is our solar wind speed here, 353 at 3 o'clock in the morning. When we start getting into the blasts, we are at 6. It starts going up to 500. 500, we get to 6 o'clock, but it's fluctuating between 400 and 500 and dropping back down to the 300s as we're watching these blasts come in. Now there's a huge blast come in, 673 kilometers per second. Okay, we come along here. When we get a little farther in here, we do just touch 800 kilometers a second, right around here. Okay, 800, there we go. Back it up. One more, 802. 802 kilometers a second at 1500. But that is the maximum speeds that it's hit. And of course, 1842 is as far as we can go in the feeds. Except that, according to, like we said, NASA, it's not solar wind speeds that are coming in that are causing these incredible blasts. It's not the solar winds, because the solar winds do not account for this kind of unbelievable distortion to the magnetopause. Okay, magnetic storms online, we've been at KP3 all day and dropping KP2, KP1, and dropping. Now I'm going to show you this one right here. So this is, again, this is the solar wind velocity. And they show it here. We've got July 1st. We see a couple of anomalous spikes. Sometime, say about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, there's a small spike. Again, around 6 and 7 in the morning, you see a small spike. But even those spikes are only, they don't even get up to 450, 450 kilometers a second. They don't even get up that high. Okay, when we look at things like, for example, the proton flux, here we go. Look over here. It's the GOA's X-ray flux, completely stable. The proton flux, we see there's in the 1 MeV readings, there's a slight dip that comes back up. The electron flux, there's a slight dip, comes back up. But there is nothing in these feeds that are showing what could possibly be causing that. It's not solar wind. There was no geomagnetic storm. There was zero sun activity. And I mean quite literally zero, not even a flicker. And again, we just keep asking the questions. Do we have the right measuring sticks to even know what these energies are that are coming in? We don't. I honestly don't think we have. And if they do, they do have the measuring sticks. They're not sharing them with the public, as far as I'm concerned. Now, again, yesterday I talked about symptoms. Again, today, symptoms when people got up. I woke up out of bed. I felt like I'd been beaten overnight. I literally hurt from my head to my feet. Every part of my body hurt. And it must have taken me an hour and 2 espressos to actually get my brain functioning enough to be able to sit down at the computer and start getting some work done. I talked to multiple people today. And again, didn't matter age, gender, location. It didn't matter if they were in Australia, America, Europe, South America. People were talking about the headaches, getting up, feeling so incredibly groggy, feeling wobbly. Stomach upsets. That was a big one too. Like, sorry to say, we're going to get gross. Diarrhea. Out of the blue. No pun intended. Like, literally. people with just upset stomachs, like couldn't eat, just felt nauseous, etc. Swelling of the hands and feet, again. So what's causing this? We don't know. I don't know. But I'll keep monitoring it, guys. I'll keep monitoring and letting you guys know if we see any more of this, or if it like finally goes away. Crazy fucking shit. Now, the one thing our astrology ladies talked about when I asked them is we are moving into the eclipse season. So there's going to be some pretty wild planetary stuff happening, and of course the eclipses this month. Is this a lead up to it? But I'll keep you informed. As soon as I figure anything out, I'll let you guys know. As soon as I don't figure anything out, I'll still let you guys know. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.